Hey mathematicians, this is Mr. Hatch. This is an optional support video to go over the 5 questions you are working on today. If you do not need any help with these questions, you can leave this video now and get started on them. But if you'd like some extra support, this is the place to be. Okay, let's get started here looking at question number 1. Now, in our example problem, we talked about how we're going to use the example of giving friends Skittles. So here we would have 92 divided by 8, which means we would have 8 friends, and we're going to use these smiley faces here as friends, and we have 92 Skittles to distribute, to divide equally amongst our 8 friends. Let's get started. So I like to start with 10 to see if I can give each friend 10 Skittles. Well, let's see if I can. If I gave each of these friends 10, I have 8 friends. That means I'd be giving out 80 Skittles because 10 times 8 is 80. So I'm going to write 10 up here on the right-hand side of my long line to represent that I gave each friend 10 Skittles. Well, 10 times 8, like we said, is 80. So we're going to subtract 80 from our total amount of Skittles, 92, because we gave out 80 Skittles. After we would subtract, we would get 12. Well, now we need to think, okay, how many Skittles can I give out to each of these friends if I now have 12 left to give out to them? Well, let's look down here at our 8 times table. We have 8 times 1 equals 8. So I could give them each 1. If I gave each of these friends 1, I would have given out 8. And I can do that because I still have 12. Well, could I give them each 2? No, I couldn't give them each 2 because if I did, I would be giving out 16 Skittles and I only have 12. So I can't do that. So I would give them each 1 Skittle. So I'm going to write a 1 next to each of these smiley faces to represent that I gave them each 1 more Skittle. And I'm also going to write my 1 right here on my right-hand side of my long line because I gave them each 1 Skittle. Now I'm going to subtract. 8 times 1 is 8. After I subtract 8 from 12, I would get 4. Well, I can't give them each another Skittle, so I am done. 4 is now my remainder. I'm going to now add up my final answer. And remember, for our final answer, we're going to add up the numbers on the right-hand side of our line. So I gave them each 10 Skittles, and then I gave them each 1. So now I need to add that up to get 11, remainder 4. 11, remainder 4. All right, let's take a look at the next problem here. Here we have 61 divided by 5. All right, I have 5 smiley faces or 5 friends, and you could do this on your own by drawing a smiley face. You can make it easy and just do that 5 times and have the same graphic. So let's get started. 61 divided by 5. 5 friends, 61 Skittles to give out. Let's see if we can do 10. Always like to start with 10. So if we gave each of these friends 10 Skittles, remember if I'm giving them each something, I need to write it on the right-hand side of my line. If I give them each 10 Skittles, that would be 50. 10 times 5 is 50. So I'm going to subtract 50 from 61. We bring down our 1. 6 minus 5 is also 1. Now I have 11. Let's see, how many Skittles could I give them now if I have 11 to give out? Well, I could give them each 1 Skittle because 5 times 1 is 5. And I could give them each 2 because 5 times 2 is 10. I have 11 to give out. But I couldn't give them each 3 because 5 times 3 is 15. 15 is bigger than 11, so I can't give them each 3. But I can give them each 2 Skittles. If I gave them each 2 Skittles, that means I'd be giving out a total of 10 Skittles. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Or 2 times 5 equals 10. I wrote my 2 on the right-hand side of my line, and now I'm ready to subtract. 11 minus 10 gives me a remainder of 1. I cannot distribute 1 equally amongst 5 friends. So now I'm ready to add up my partial quotients. I gave them each 10, and then I gave them each 2. So I'm going to add those up to get 12, and I have a remainder here of 1. That is our final answer. All right, let's take a look at the next problem here. Now here we have 52 divided by 7. We have 7 friends and 52 Skittles to give out to those friends. Well, let's see if we can start with 10. 7 times 10 would be 70. Oh, I don't have 70 Skittles to give out, so I can't do that. Well, I can think about my 7 times table. I can think, okay, 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 4 is 28. And I can just go through my times table here till I get close to 52. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 7 is 49. And over here we'll write 7 times 8 is 56. Okay, well now I can take a look here. 7 times 7 is pretty close. That puts me at 49. And 7 times 8 is 56. Well, I only have 52 Skittles to give out, so I couldn't give them each 8, because that would mean I'm giving out 56 Skittles, which I don't have. But I could give them each 7 Skittles, because that means I would be giving out 49 total. Well, let's do that. If I gave them each 7 Skittles, that means I'm going to write my 7 on the right-hand side of my line. And that means I'm giving out 49 Skittles total. And I'm going to subtract. I need to borrow from my 5, make it a 4. Now I have 12 minus 9. So I'm going to have a 3. And 4 minus 4 gives me 0. So now I have 3 left over. Well, I have 7 friends, so I can't split these 3 equally among them. So that is my remainder. So I only have 1 digit over here. I don't need to add it by anything. But my final answer is just 7, remainder 3 is my final answer. I was able to give each of these friends only 7 Skittles. All right, let's take a look at the next problem here. Now here we have 84 divided by 2. So that means we have 2 friends, 84 Skittles to give out. They're each going to get a lot of Skittles. So let's take a look. Let's start with 10. Could I give them each 10 Skittles? Yes, I could. That would mean I'm giving out 20 total. Well, let's see if we can give them even more. What if I gave them each 20 Skittles each? If I gave them each 20, well, I know 20 times 2 is 40. What if I gave them each 30 Skittles each? Well, 30 times 2 would give me 60. 30 plus 30 would be 62. Let's see if we can get even closer. What if I gave them each 40? Well, 40 times 2 would be 80, and I have 84 Skittles to give out, so yeah, I could do that. Let's double check. If I gave them each 40, 40 plus 40 is 80. Okay, so I'm good. I can give them each 40 Skittles for sure. So now I'm going to write my 40 on the right-hand side of my line, and I'm going to multiply 40 times 2 gives me 80. Or look, 40 plus 40 is 80, so I'm subtracting 80 from my total to get 4. Well, could I still give them out more Skittles? Yeah, I could. I only have 2 friends, so I can give them more Skittles. Let's see. I know that 2 times 2 equals 4, so what if I gave them each 2 more Skittles? That means that, yeah, that's fine, because I would be giving out the rest of my 4 Skittles. So that means I need to write a 2 over here on the right-hand side of my line. And I know 2 times 2 equals 4. Now I can subtract. And I do not have any Skittles left over. So that means I'm going to add up my numbers on the right-hand side of my line. 40 plus 2 is going to give me 42. I could give each of these friends 42 Skittles. Okay, let's move on to the next problem here. Our final problem is 67 divided by 4. How many Skittles could we give each of these 4 friends if we have 67 Skittles? Well, let's see. Could I give them each 10? Yeah, I could, because 10 times 4 equals 40. And I have 67 Skittles. So I'm going to start by giving them each 10. I'm going to write 10 right over here on the right-hand side of my line, and I'm going to subtract 40. Bring down my 7. 6 minus 4 is 2, and now I have 27 Skittles to give out. Well, let's think about our 4 times table. We'll start with 4 times, let's see, we know 4 times 4 is 20. That's pretty close. We know that 4 times 6 would give us 24. 4 times 7 would give us 28. Oh, and that's over. So I couldn't give them each 7 because that's more than 27. But I could give them each 6 because that gives us 24. And I have 27 Skittles to give out. So if I gave them each 6, let's try it. 6 times 4 is 24. Then I'm going to subtract and have 3 left over here. Well, I have 4 friends and 3 Skittles. That means I can't give them each 1, so that's my remainder. So now I'm going to add 10 plus 6 to get 16, and then I have 3 left over, remainder 3. Awesome job, guys. Thanks for walking through these problems with me. Hope this was helpful. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.